All right, we are live. Cool. All right, yo. Just waiting for the circle to finish loading. Comment section is up. We're on. We're ready. All right, yo. Welcome to the live Q&A. My name is Karl, master trainer at Vitruvian Health. If you think master trainer, you don't like it, you're like, you should be a head coach. Well, we can do that too. So I'm a head coach. I'm here to unpack some questions in a detailed form and a simple form. Some questions will double up. Some of the answers will be simple, and then others will be long form. So the purposes today is just to provide you resources and information. So disclaimer, all information from Vitruvian Health, myself, regards to training, nutrition, lifestyle, and therapy are for educational purposes only. It is not meant to diagnose or treat any health conditions and is not a replacement for treatment by a healthcare provider like Dr. Amy Mason. Reach her out if you're looking for it. If you have concerns, please consult your local GP or doctor, and we can definitely recommend her highly. So with that done, we are now ready to dive in to the Q&A. So first question that we have off the bat, how can I improve my cardiovascular system? You can improve it in many ways. One is to define what is cardiovascular training in the bedroom, outside, general movements, so forth. So number one, if it's in the bedroom, do it more. If you're looking at cardiovascular in the form of walking up the stairs, you could be doing that more as well. Any cardiovascular training, obviously, with a sensible amount. So the thing to note is that finding out how much is enough and how much is too much. So usually when you're wanting to improve the cardiovascular system itself, you're looking at a range of about 60 to 85%. That's also known as the sweet spot or the fat burning zone. So the body's mobilizing fatty acids as an energy source. Then from there, you're looking to titrate and progressively work that. So what that would look like, for example, is myself, I do 20 minutes. I don't want to do more, it's too much, I'm like, boss. But you do enough, causes the light sweat, causes that response. And then what you do is you might say, if you're doing on a cross trainer, it's lower impact, you're doing, say, level 10 at 10 kilometers an hour. You might do that for 2 to 3 weeks, and that puffing effect doesn't occur anymore. So from there, you might then do level 11, increasing the resistance to challenge the body more, causes the effect again, or you increase the speed at which you operate at. So cardiovascular is that ability for your body to literally use oxygen and fat as an energy source, but working at the rate that allows you to recover. So you can sustain that over a steady period of time. If you go too hard too soon, then you have a buildup of lactic, like it's called the lactic acid. All that's happening is you have less oxygen in the body. The percentage of lactic acid is higher. You don't increase it. It's just technically there's less oxygen. So then the body can't recover at that rate. So therefore, boom, you gas out. And that's that effect because you're trying to get more oxygen in. But what happens when you go too hard, then the body just slows down. So to do that, really to improve your cardiovascular system is to start. I suggest doing 2 or 3 times a week, doing a light to moderate session. Track how long you're doing for. Some people do 40 minutes, 45. A lot of people will do 45 to 40 because they get an hour break for lunch. So, chuck the shoes on, warm up the legs, and then go for a run. Start light, low impact, so you can continue to do it, but you want to be gradually tracking that. So each week, you could ask yourself how you're finding it, how you're feeling, and progressing from session to session. Second is, what are some good exercises for a full body workout? I like to use the method of agonist-antagonist. So think bicep versus tricep or chest versus back. So you would then, train your chest, go over, train your back, so you get a full body response. And then, you do quads and hamstrings. That's one effect. So when one body part's working, the other one's resting. Another one, which is quite good, which causes a larger spike in growth hormone response, blood flow, is known as German body comp. GBC, popularized by Charles Poliquin, one of my mentors way back, is you train chest, so you do bench press, then you go over and you do lunges. So you're training your chest, so upper body, and then lower body. So then blood's going up and down. It creates a much more challenging environment for the body. Only challenge I find with full body workouts is, if you're sore in your full body, it may affect performance the next day. So way to get around that is train the front of your body, so chest and quads, abs and biceps, everything that's in front of you. And then behind, so you got triceps, you got back, you got hamstrings, calves, then you train that the next day. So that's how you can kind of overcome the muscle fatigue. Because if you keep training full body, you do find that can affect performance over time. So that's the way to work around that. If you're wondering where to start 3 sets every exercise. 8 to 12 reps is usually a good benchmark. Then when you start to see plateau on that, you can go to 4 to 6 reps and then 16 to 20 reps. Or you can just add another set because that will increase intensity and decrease rest. Question number 3, how long should I rest between sets during weightlifting? That's a great question. If you're wanting to create that cardiovascular response, because you're like, I hate cardio, but you want that shorter rest intervals, though be mindful that you will notice you won't be able to lift as heavy. If you're wanting to focus on strength, then you're probably looking at 3 to 5 minute rests because you want to be able to lift heavy, sustain technique and form. So slightly longer rest so you can hold and manage that fatigue better. If you're like, I want more of a cardiovascular response because it's going to stimulate my metabolism. It's not, it's just really you're in more of a fat burning zone. When you're lifting those heavier weights, 8 reps and below, that's when your intensity is high and you're using glucose as an energy source instead of fat. Next is how can I increase my flexibility? Train through a full range of motion. Most people think stretching is the way to go. I personally believe to be efficient, you should be able to train. Strength is the ability to control full range of motion, so you should just train all ranges. So you're going to train for the splits, train for split squats, and actually load those structures through that range of motion, which takes time. Stretching can help. Where stretching can help is you would stretch the joint, the muscle, not the joint. You stretch the muscle, and so you've got a new range of motion, and then you train that end range. Understanding that, for example, if you can lunge 40 kilos in each hand, it's 80 in total, and then you start stretching, you're going to find that 80 kilos, that structure in your joint is now compromised. You won't be able to lift 80. You're probably doing 25 or 30 because you're now challenging that new range of motion that you're working with. So train through full range of motion and progress steadily over time. What are some good exercises for strengthening my core? I personally believe all exercises should be working your core at all times because it's holding you in place nice and tight. But unilateral, so single arm exercises, so like single arm delt raise, balancing on leg will challenge the core. It just depends, like if you want it from a stability point of view or from a aesthetics point of view, like we all have abs, but variety really is key because if you're only training it for just the bench or one exercise, you're only teaching yourself to do that. But the thing is, when you twist, you reach up overhead, you need your core to be able to fully function through all planes of movement. So variety is the key there. What are some tips for sticking to a fitness routine? Building the habit. Consistency is key. The more consistent you are, the easier it is. It's just setting up that habit. Most people think from going, my girlfriend or my boyfriend, person I really admire, they've got a great physique, they train 6 times a week, so therefore I should train 6 times a week. Maybe start with 2 or 3. Usually the gold standard is 3 to 4 is a good benchmark, and then you then have a buffer that go 5 and 6 if you see plateaus and you're doing a variety of training programs. The second point is the one that works for you. If you don't have the time to train 4 times, but you have the time to train 3 times, do 3 times. Over time, it'll get easier, and you'll be like, actually, I can manage this time to suit my needs, so I can definitely make that work. So it's just finding out what works best for you and your current schedule as well. All right. How much water should I drink before and after exercise? Think of water through the day. So we recommend 35 to 70 mils of water per kilo of body weight. So if I weigh 100 kilos, I should be drinking 3.5 to 7 liters of water a day. Usually you want to be drinking water and feel replenished 2 to 3 hours before, so you're not in a dehydrated state. Some people use when they pee in the morning, if it's yellow, let it mellow. No. And if it's brown, flush it down. So, but usually if you're peeing yellow in the morning, you could be in a dehydrated state. So things that can help you get Celtic sea salts, like use True Celtic is the one that I use. You get electrolytes as well. Put that in the water and drink that, 500 mils. I do lemon, Celtic sea salts, with cinnamon and ginger. True Celtics, again, the company that I use, check them out if you want. But Celtic salts, Himalayan salts, pink salts, rainbow salts have minerals in them. So you just have a pinch of that in the water, so it'll help to hydrate. What are some good exercises for reducing stress? Anything that helps. That one. Some people find running, walking, jogging beneficial. Others find weightlifting beneficial. So finding those exercises that help you. Usually it's the big compound exercises. Sometimes I would recommend cables because you can really go hell for leather and there's a low risk to injury compared to doing like a deadlift. If you're not up here like sharp as a tack and you've got a lot going through your head, sometimes that can lead you to lifting too heavy and then hitting your body. What are the best ways to measure my fitness progress? Tape measures. We use calipers, so we recommend hire a professional to do body comp assessments. So they can check in with you. You can do a biometric assessment. So that's where you would ask yourself like 10 questions. So how's my nutrition? What's my appetite like? What's my libido like? How's my stress? How am I managing my stress? Because you could say you're stressed a 10 out of 10. However, if you're managing it well, it's just a momentary thing that's higher and it will come down. But if you have an impaired ability to handle that stress, then that's something to be cautious of. What's my training performance? So, should everyone be there? Because it's like lifting the world on my shoulders, it was killing it, or is it just like a 7 or an 8 or a 2? Was I able to progress in loads? If no, then that's something we'll be looking at. Sleep, quality of sleep. So you might be getting 7 to 9 hours, but you might be waking up every so often, so that's not ideal. And the other one is your motivation. So I don't believe motivation is a thing in the sense of like, you should always be like fist pumping, here we go, off your rocks. It's more like, how are you inspired today? Are you like, yep, or does it feel like you got heavy feet, which is just a struggle? So asking yourself those 10 questions and really just checking like, is it changing at all? So if they're getting better, awesome. If they're getting worse, why would that be? It's like, oh, well, I said I would, eat pizza every day and I would do double the sets because, doing more is better. It's like, well, for your body, if all those metrics are going down, probably not. But for some, they might. How do you know if you're physically fit? Well, the definition of fit is the ability to move without pain. So if you're not in pain, it would also come down to your own definition of what physically fit is. So physically fit, I would say, is being able to lift your own body weight for squat, for bench, for deadlifts, shoulder press, probably half your body weight, doing pull-ups, moving without pain, but being able to do those large compound movements, tricep dips, bent over rows, like the foundational 8, and the other one is front squat. So if you can do all those with your body weight, knowing that shoulder press would naturally be about 66% of your bench press, knowing so that won't be body weight, but that would be a good guide for you. And if you're not there, ask yourself maybe why, and if it's something that persists, reach out to my team and we'll do a movement screening on you to assess your structural balance, so seeing where the structure is compromised. What training is best for overweight women? That's a good question. Man, I can't believe that caught me out. So the thing is, it's a good question because it's so many people, it's like I've been seeing a lot lately where people just bastardize and say, oh, you're overweight because you're fat and X, Y, Z. But the thing is, it's not X, Y, Z. For example, some people, like just use this as an example. So like, let's look at the circles here. One sec, just to make sure I'm seeing it right. So what you have is, if we looked here, one's bigger than the other. So this could be someone's joint structure here, and it's smaller. This could be someone else's joint structure, and it's bigger. So is someone overweight, or do they just have a larger joint structure? Because if you compare someone who's like, we use the phrase petite, and then someone who's bigger, are they bigger because they're fatter, or they're holding on more fat, or are their joints actually just bigger? So they'll never have that tiny little frame because their joint is, you have to cut half their joint off. That's not logical. So are they overweight? Why are they overweight is the real question. Is it, and how are you classifying overweight? So if you were to do a body comp assessment and they're holding 40% body fat, okay, and we're measuring it from a body fat percentage, and we know that fat toxins are stored in fat, okay, they're overweight because they're holding on to more of a toxic load. Well, is that occurring due to gut dysbiosis, gut problem? Reach out to Kathy, she can help with that. Is it due to you have a structural limitation or restriction and you're experiencing pain all the time, which makes you not want to train or do anything, and that affects how you move? Then, do a movement screening or talk to Dr. Mace and to do a muscle testing and find out what's going on, get that corrected, and you'll find you now move pain-free, which makes everything easier. There's a meridian of things there. So you might not be overweight. Like I say overweight, it's like you might just be a bigger person. Like myself, I have thicker joints. Like if you look at Eddie Ram versus me, a senior trainer, he naturally, and dang, that guy, like his bicep blow up. My biceps are bigger, haha. But he looks like he has just much bigger arms because he has small joint structures. I think mine are about a third bigger. So my muscle mass, though I may have more muscle, it doesn't look as big as his do. So naturally, I'm going to have to build bigger muscles. So I'll naturally be that overweight based off the classification that most people will use. So bring it all about, what exercises should women do for an overweight? One, classify what that is. If they're naturally holding on to more fat, then looking at their nutrition, underlying blood problems, get the bloods checked out, and work out why you might be overweight. Honestly, with everyone, consistency is key. So the way we would start with someone is we look at their reflection log, what are they eating on a day-to-day basis, where are they having to make changes, look at how much they're moving, are they getting sunlight every day, so getting shirts off, mirror crop top, short shorts, maximize sun exposure. They're really stressed, get the shoes off, go into the grass, go for swims, things that are lower impact, that's going to get them moving. If they love training, fucking yeah, let's lift some weight. Because at the same time, people that are holding more weight to themselves, they'll naturally probably have a high level of muscle mass as well. So they'll be able to progress and build strength faster because they've got more muscle mass. So that's a win-win there. How long would it take to lose weight? How long is a piece of string? Number one. Number two, you should be looking at 0.25 to 0.5% of your body weight as a healthy drop. Most people say 1%. It's an easier way to work it out. So if I weigh 100, 1% of that would be a kilo a day. But then if I lose a kilo, it's now 99, so it should be 990 grams. Then I'm 98, then it's 980 grams. So it changes. So really, how quick can you lose 30 kilos and sustainably hold it? That would be the real question there. So that would be, I usually would look at that and go, okay, well, 500 grams, if you follow everything strictly, then you're looking at 60 weeks. And also, like, how long does it take you to put it on? 3 years? 3 years, take it off. Because you want to take it off and keep it off. What's the best workout to avoid back pain? There is no best workout to avoid back pain. Build a stronger back. How many times a week is required to work out? Depends on what your availability is, but 2 to 6 times a week is what you can manage. 2 is a stretch. So if you want to do 2, you want to train like Monday, Thursday. So like 3 and 4 days apart. That's why 3 is ideal because you can have 2 days apart. Most people will like, what about 7? Most people, I honestly believe, are mentally not strong enough. Plus, like if you think of it this way, you need to train every single day for the rest of your life. Huh? When do I get to rest? You don't. But I get tired sometimes. Too bad. Suck it up. Don't be weak. Oh, well. But mentally, if you train hard for 6 days and the 7th day you get to sleep, recover more than what you're doing day to day. It just mentally, it's just like, oh, cool. I don't have to push hard for 6 days. It's a lot more manageable. A fitness event. Are fitness events effective? Yep. Are fitness trackers worth it? Yep. As long as you're not going crazy about it, where you let that dictate how you're feeling. For example, oh, my sleep score was, I used to love watching this. my sleep score was 79. I shouldn't train today. Yeah, but you train to cause stress to the body so you can grow and adapt to be better. So it shouldn't dictate everything. It's like, oh, it says I should climb the Harbour Ridge. Okay, I'll climb the Harbour Ridge. Can fitness help with anxiety? Yep. My belief is that anxiety is misplaced energy. Causes, you can say, well, Carl, you're not a psychologist. Well, the thing is, wherever you put your energy goes, energy flows. So if you keep thinking about anxiety, then you'll keep feeling anxiety. So, I don't have the skill sets and the tools to help coach people out of that. That's why you go to those people. But the thing is, the underlying thing is there are positives and negatives. Why are you putting the energy into it? What's the positive to it? What's the negative to it? You've got to find both sides. You can't just think negative, negative, negative. There's always two sides to the coin. So find that and then look at where you can find what helps you manage and control that. Which fitness watch is best? I like the Garmin. Garmin is pretty good. Fitbit and the Apple Watch. There's also the Whoop, and you can also get the Oura Ring. Those are pretty good. The standard ones. Depends what you're tracking it for. So if you want to get more into the sleep, HRV, then you would use more probably the Oura Ring. If I create success with that one. I haven't used the Whoop, but I've got a few people that use it more from the performance aspect, and they say it's great. Got quite a few runners that use Garmin's, and then Apple Watch I think is just an easy one to use. So again, what's it for? What's the purpose, and what works for you? Like personally, I liked Fitbit because I thought it was simple, sleek, but I actually get radiating pain between my middle and ring finger, which is super uncomfortable. So I can't wear it for more than 3 days. So I don't use them, which really annoys me. The Apple Watch is the only one I've been able to wear for like weeks on end without getting that radiating pain, because you can actually turn off the certain functions. So it's to their own. Is it okay to work out every day, or do I need to take breaks in between? You can work out every day. I just believe people should have a rest day. It's allowed for recovery. It's more manageable. But you can definitely train 7 days a week, but it depends on the program. So I wouldn't train the same body part every single day. There's Frank Zane method. Is probably you train the same body part 3 times, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Other programs, that's probably the only program I see that is used as an overload method. How can I incorporate more variety into my workouts? Hire a trainer. Make them design your programs for you so you don't have to think too much about it. What are some good exercises for toning specific body parts, like my abs or arms? Oh, I love this question. So when someone goes, I want to get toned, my question is, are you 70 years old and above and can no longer build muscle mass? Your response would probably be, no, I can still build muscle. Cool, stop looking to tone a muscle. The reason why you can't see the tone is because you're holding more fat in that area. So all you should do is build a bigger muscle, so it shows off more, and then slowly work on nutrition and going between deficits and surpluses and through phases of program to maximize muscle growth and fat mobilization in that area. Or, unfortunately, number 3 is you might just have poor genetics. Thanks, Mum. Thanks, Dad. And your body just holds fat in that area, which means it's a process over time. Should I be using weights or just relying on bodyweight exercises? Good point. What can you progressively overload over time? So if you can only do bodyweight, you're looking to progress in sets and reps. The thing with gyms and loads is that you can progress in weight as well. So it means that if you're doing push-ups, you do 10 reps, 12 reps, 14, 16, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, and that just takes more and more time, so your workouts get longer. But with weight training, if you do 4 reps, add a bit more weight, now 3 reps. You progress, add more weight, 3 to 4 reps. So that's the good thing about weight training, is that you can manage the time element. But there's many ways. You can do pauses, isometric pulses. You can do explosive like claps. You can do a lot of variation there to get more out of the body in a short space of time with just body weight. There's heaps. Like we started off with 813 exercises in our new exercise program, and we're up to about 3,500. So, and I think about 500 of that's body weight. So there's a lot of body weight exercises out there that you can use. How can I increase the intensity of my workouts? Decrease the rest, increase the sets, increase the weight, and complexity of the exercises. Maintaining physical fitness requires major lifestyle changes, true or false? Depends where you are, but it takes one change at a time. So if you don't walk at all, you sleep 3 hours a day. Well, yeah, I got a prime example. She was sleeping 4 hours a day. Thought she could take over the world. That works for a short space of time, but long term, it didn't work for her. So struggled to lose weight. Now she sleeps about 7-8 hours, moves about 12 to 14,000 steps a day, eats 4 meals a day, trains 5 times a week. Yeah, it would seem like a lot for a lot of people. But the thing is, if you just did one day at a time, you went from training, say, twice a week and 4 weeks later doing 3 times a week, that's a big shift. Because that would be doing like another 40% of training in the week. So that's a big jump. It's just building those small changes that just becomes habit and routine. That's what the biggest challenge is. Plus, physical fitness is the ability to move without pain. So as long as you're not in pain, then no change needed at all. But most people would train or move or exercise because they're thinking it from a longevity perspective. So, thoughts. Does more sweat guarantee that my fats are being burned in my body? Yes. Sweat is your fat crying. No. Fat is a cooling mechanism for the body to cool down, to regulate core temperature. So if you're not sweating, you probably have something going on that's maybe be concerned about. But everyone's different. Like I sweat like a mother trucker, but I'm really hot. So my body's always looking to cool itself down to regulate core temperature. So it's not your body burning fat, it's just your body working to keep you cool. Some people just don't sweat. So it's something to be mindful of. So you might overheat when it comes to training. So it's not a sign of burning fat. But as you're moving and training, so just like if I do this, I'm actually going to burn more energy. So I'm going to probably burn a little bit more fat because fat is the greatest substrate of energy. So protein, 4 calories, carbs, 4 calories, and then fat is 9 calories. So fat is actually just a really good, efficient fuel source that the body will utilize. So if I was just doing this a little bit more movement, I'm going to do my alarm because I can feel that alarm now. If I just do this, I'm probably burning maybe an extra calorie every minute. But who here wants to do this for an hour a day? Just to burn an extra 60 calories? No. So your body will naturally be burning. So it's what's known as a theoretical metabolic rate, where your body theoretically burns this much energy every single day. And when you start to move or train, it burns this much more. And then if you eat more proteins and you find like more fibrous foods, then it might burn that a little bit more as well. A desirable level of fitness can be achieved through as little as how many workouts per week? I recommend 3 to 4 because it's also helping you manage fatigue and delayed onset muscle soreness, but it also peaks on that adaptational window, which occurs at between 48 and 96 hours. So, train, cause stress, then it peaks, the body adapts, and then it will neutralize back. So that's at 96 hours. So I like to capitalize 3 to 4 so we can constantly see progress week to week. Why do we need to warm up before exercises? You don't. You could just go really hard and heavy, but then you're not warming up and lubricating the joints, so it's smooth movement and minimizing risk of injury. Warm-up sets are also a good way to see how you're feeling so you can make adjustments to suit the demands of the training. So if you're meant to do 5 sets of 5, go heavier. And you're like, oh man, I'm just... So you can then do what's known as a reactive deload. So you might do 2 sets of 5 because that just seems more manageable because maybe you didn't sleep right, you're feeling really run down. That's a way to get around that so you can still train and manage that. It's also a good way to prime maybe muscles that aren't firing. So if you're feeling niggles, so like one muscle might be stronger than the other, so it's working harder, so this is at a disadvantage. So using the warm-up to get this muscle back up so you're balanced. So then it's a more efficient way of training. Does muscle burn calories even when the body is at rest? Yes. We actually burn more fat at rest than we do when we train. We're using glucose from carbohydrates as an energy substrate, which is awesome. So yes. Well, that is the live Q&A. Hope you all enjoyed. And till next time, till next Wednesday, adios, amigos.